Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to another Supercoach Insider podcast. My name is Swizz, here to talk all things BBL Supercoach. Yes, the season is nearly upon us. Preseason is getting close to finish as round one kicks off on Thursday night with the Heat taking on the Stars. So I'm here to hopefully help you get those round one teams together. I'll be kicking off with just a bit of an intros today, and then we'll be going in team by team and having a look at the best 11 lineups. As always, check us out on all our social media platforms, wherever you get your podcasts, but in particular the YouTube and Spotify. We really do appreciate your support. Thank you to those people who shouted us out with the Spotify Wrap being released and being in your top 5 podcasts. Really appreciate it. Really appreciate the new fans. I love being here talking, especially cricket. I've always been very heavily involved with cricket. Got my Parkfield shirt here and that, our past players mug. So yeah, no, love talking it, and yeah, hopefully together we'll be able to have a very successful Big Bash year. A few shout outs to my mate Grimo. I've been talking a lot with him, so trying to get him onto the show. He's had some better finishes than me, very high up finishes in Supercoach. I think he was unlucky not to win it one year, so gives me a lot of up-to-date information. The Honeyball guys do a fantastic job. I've put up their fixture there and their website. Definitely check them out. I think the boys at Herald Sun, again, tremendous job that they're doing. In particular, Tim Mitchell, thank you to all his work and getting me involved with a lot of in connections with a lot of the other podcasters and helping me become an expert for Supercoach this year. Yes, if you want to join me to join your league, you can just go to the experts and add me. You'll see my mug there under Dave. We'll try to get Swizz up there, but that's my actual name. So it's a real honour, and I appreciate him. So you have officially become an expert when it comes to Supercoach. And we'll also have a couple other guests. Naturally, our boys, in particular, Benny will be on, but Damo from the Jock Reynolds had me on the other day. We were talking players over 150,000K. So, check out what he's been doing. Very informative as well. And a final shout out to Amy and Ben for in here in my new studio at home. So they supplied the Steve Waugh portrait behind us, so that'll look good in here. So thank you so much for them for donating that. All right, so when it comes to Big Bash Supercoach, very different to AFL and NRL. We have 3 trades a week. It's only in 9-round season, so round 1 we don't need to make trades going forward. So 3 trades around, and then we have 2 bonuses, taking us to a total of 26 throughout the season. So that's going to be tactical there, but we really, instead of like the other games where we've got to hold trades and make use of them at the right moment, it's just we make the 3 a week. And the reason we do that is to try to get in as many double game players as possible in that round. Every week, except for round 8, there's double game players. And, every week, except for round 8, there is a team, and round 1, naturally, there's teams on the bye. So really what we're trying to aim to do is trade out the players that have a bye, and we're trying to trade in players that playing on a double, or in round 1's case, starting players who may have a triple, which is very unique. So that's when I go through and talk about my team later and how that's kind of sitting. That is my whole thought process, is how can I maximize having as many double or triple players on the ground as possible, and then not have my whole bench filled up with bye players. Or I'm trying to plan around, if I do have bye players on my bench, hopefully they're coming into a double the week after. The other important thing is roles in Supercoach. So we are looking batsmen who do other things. So wicketkeepers are very prominent in a lot of teams, and they're very high up in the percentages, and we'll go through some of those percentages soon with ownerships. So we've got with the wicketkeepers, not only do most of them bat high in the order, and you're particularly wanting your top 4 bats, but they have the ability to score through runouts, catches, stumpings. The other part is then you want all-rounders or bowlers who bowl 3 or 4 overs, because they have bonuses connected to them. So economy bonuses kick in if you've got a bowler who bowls 3 or 4. In a perfect world, you'd like a bowler who gets the opportunity to bat, or a batsman who does bowl those 3 or 4 overs. But in the case of, say, Maxwell or Matt Short, who are very popular, they might not bowl enough overs for the economy bonus, but just the fact that they come on and can take wickets does give them an extra avenue to score. Pure batsmen or bowlers who kind of bowl just middle order, who might only chip in for the odd 2 or 3 overs, or don't bowl during their power plays at the end or at the start where there's more opportunity to take wickets, you do not want those players. Usually it's actually the natural all-rounder. So for example, your Cam Green, who might come on and bowl 2 or 3 overs, might bat 6. Like let's look at it from a test match perspective. That's usually his role. Doesn't bowl as much, doesn't bat as high up the order. You want to leave those players out of your side as much as possible. And that's what's been reflected with the team that I've got at the moment. Now, I've had a few changes, and it could still change depending on information for round 1, but that's where it's sitting at the moment. All right, so the first thing we've got to look at is the Prime Minister's 11 squad is out. So these guys play between December 6th and December 9. First game of the BBL is on December 7th. So do the maths there. The first 3 games, 6 on the 7th, 8th and 9th, players are out of these matches, and then potentially for the rest of the round, depending how quick the players can get back to play. So McSweeney is the captain, Bancroft, Cam Green, Marcus Harris, Nathan McAndrew, Todd Murphy, Michael Nisa, who is very popularly owned still, Jimmy Pearson, Renshaw, Stedke, and Webster all playing in that match. So you need to not have any of those guys in your starting 11. The other players potentially, now there is some with T10 commitments, so you need to kind of watch that, but we think most of them are going to be available for the Big Bash. A couple other very popular players own Harris Ralph. He's got some issues being released from the Pakistan side, so you need to consider that. And the other ones, Harry Brook, who is not playing now for the Stars, he's gone home. There's actually been a couple other international players who have pulled out. Rashid Khan, a very popular player, so you need to kind of take those players out because they're not going to be here for any of the Big Bash, which makes them useless for us. All right, so in regards to, we'll talk quickly about my team, and then we'll get into some of the percentages as well. So my wicket keepers are Billings and McDermott, as I spoke earlier. Batsmen who do keeping have multiple ways of scoring. Billings has the round 1 triple. Now the Heat is an interesting one because they do have players coming only for the first match, then they're going to have PM11 guys back for the third. So who's going to actually play all 3 matches? So I'm trying to be safe here. A lot of people had up to sort of 5, 6, 7 Heat because of the triple, but a lot of those there's potential that some of these players only play 1 or 2 games. So Billings is the safest. He'll be there for all 3. He might not have the gloves for the third game, but at least for the first 2, he'll have the keeping gloves. So Pat's top 4. So a lot of confidence there. Munro, very aggressive batsman, international, the South African turned New Zealander, and had some great form the other night again in the T10. Even with Labuschagne and Khawaja playing first game, should still bat top sort of 4. Even when they go out, he could potentially open game 2, if not even open game 1, and then he probably opens again in game 3. So I think he's a must-have. Something I didn't mention before is the the strike rate bonus for batsmen. So if they score over 20, let's just say a player scores 30 off 20 balls, they get a 10-point bonus there on top of that 30 points that they scored. So that's you want players who are aggressive, and usually the more aggressive players come from the top. So that's why Munro is there. And we've got the other Heat player, which is in the bowler section, is Bartlett. So probably of all the bowlers there, he might be the most safest. Spencer Johnson's had a few injury concerns. I know a few people going with the cheaper Swepson, but I can see the Heat team being swapped around quite a bit. There is probably potential they could get rested between games, but I think they need him to lead their attack. So, I can see him being the bowler that probably plays all 3. All right, on to the other wicketkeeper. We've got McDermott, who, I think was it 2 years ago, he finished, was it 3rd overall in the competition? So just a brilliant batsman. Didn't have the greatest season last year, and that's why we're getting him at this discounted price. But second actually overall So any player that can finish as the second highest ranked player in the whole of Supercoach is an absolute jet for us. At one point that season, he got to 262k. He scored a 347 and a 206 in a round. So though they don't have their double until round 7, here's a guy who a very aggressive batsman. If he gets off the chain at 88k, he's tremendous value. Only has a break even of 28. He doesn't have a double, so we don't need him on the field at the moment. But in those rounds where we have only one team with a double, he can become very important to be on field while he's making cash. Into the batsman, and this guy could be in the keeping section too, but I want him on field, is Quinton de Kock. Best batsman in the recent World Cup. Just tore it apart at the top of the order for South Africa. The Renegades have had Joe Clark crossover from the Stars, but I expect Quinton to take the gloves, which gives him both opportunities to score. It's a little bias beware because we've seen international players come to Australia, not adapt to the conditions, but he has 5 hits in those first 3 rounds. I don't want to be in a situation where de Kock goes absolutely off and scores a 70, 80, 100, and if he's doing that, he's probably scoring it off 40 to 60 balls, where you're looking at that potential where he's scoring between 100 and 150. With a break even of 115, he can do that in one game. Yeah, there's potential there. He might a couple of sub-10s, but at the same time, with the couple of spinners that they have in the team, and they've got Mujib, and then they've got Zampa, the fast bowlers, Kane Richardson if fit, Sids, and Tom Rogers. There could be edges, stumpings. I think he's too good not to have in there. Another wicketkeeper. I've got 2 more of them. So we've got Sam Harper. So I've got the 3 Stars players in Harper, Maxwell, and Muir. So Harper looked really good for the fix again the other day in the Shield. And though it was a Shield match, they were all struggling on that pitch, and he made a very nice 100. So he's crossed over from the Renegades. Again, a keeper who can score in multiple ways, will bat top of the order, and most importantly has double games in round 1, 3 and 5. And because he's a wicketkeeper, I can swap him onto the bench for round 2 while they have their bye. McDermott can come on the field, and then I've got him available for those round 3 and 5 games. So do like Harper for that reason. Glenn Maxwell should be in 100% of sides. I think he's in 60% right now. If the Afghanistan game didn't put you over the edge for that, where he made that 200, he made 100 2 nights ago in the T20 series against India when the Aussies were completely gone. I think they needed 70 off 26 balls, and Maxwell made very light work of it. So, yeah, he just should be picked by every team. That's a no-brainer. And Philippi, he's been in and out of my side, but at 102k, though he's got the break-even of 65 first up because of the double game, and then they don't have any doubles after that. This is the player, again, 2 years ago, was the 6th highest player for overall scoring. Did get to 261k that season because he had three games in a row, or 3 rounds in a row, where he went 168, 102 and 159. So, yeah, talk about a player that can score top of the order. It's hard to leave him out. I have swapped him in and out depending on sort of balance, because I kind of wanted another Stars Renegades player in there for their future doubles. But yeah, he's I can see why he's very popular, because he has been one of our best scorers in the past. The surprise next is Gilks, again another wicketkeeper. And the reason I've got him there is because the Thunder have a round 4 game. If I don't start 2 Thunder, it's going to be hard for me to trade them in, because I'll be looking at bringing in 3 strikers for round 2, 3 Stars or Renegades for round 3. Then what do I do for the Thunder? Bring only 3 of them in. I think 5's a good amount to have in those weeks where only one team has the double. So to do that, I need to start 2 Thunder. Gilks, 100k, break even of 32. He should able to at least maintain that, and then I can get that double scoring for round 4. But if he manages to go off in one of those games, in particular round 1, playing the Brisbane Heat, should be opening the ballot batting at Manuka. I think he could be a bit of a smoky there. And Darcy Short, he's crossed over from the Hurricanes. Again, one of these players who not only has the opportunity to score in multiple ways, because with Rashid Khan out, he's got the potential to bowl some overs, but one of those former highly ranked players. He was 10th best player, was in 2021-22, and then he was the 6th player in 2020-21. So, he's a guy who can score hundreds, get on a roll, make us very quick cash. And at 67K, I'd probably not want to bet against him at that price. So I think that's a bit of a free hit, especially with the double in round 2, but the round 1 match against the Heat again, who's got some, I think the bowling lineup's a little weakened just because of the ins and outs, and with Nisa not being there. So, I think he does also solve that problem for round 2, making sure, as I said before, having 5 players from that double. So that's why I've got short there. Next is Jai Richardson as a bowler. A little worried about fitness, but he bowled 21 overs in the recent Shield match. So looks like back to his best. Took wickets, made runs, which was impressive as well. So was the best player in BBL for us last year. He's the second highest, second most expensive, and that's only because he's Steve Smith's been added, who's about 267, I think. He only ranked as the 29th player overall, but for an average, average of 79, which is just amazing. Scored a 260 in round 2 last season. That's one of the reasons he's in. He's got the 2 games in Victoria to start off with. Even if he was to bomb and not score that well, which is a little bit of a potential worry, he is the best way to get to match short. So it's either people are starting match short with just the 1 game, which is a fair enough option, or you're starting Jai Richardson with the double, and then you're going to trade him down to match short and just hope that he hasn't lost too much cash to make that trade very easy. So I think not only from a scoring point of view and as a potential captain option, but as the player who can get you short, because you're going to need short for round 2. So that's some planning there. We've talked about Bartlett. Zampa, best bowler in the World Cup. I think he broke the record for the most wickets in the World Cup. So he's crossed over from the Stars to the Renegades. I think that'll suit them very well. So it's hard to leave him out. Mir, the Pakistani. So with Ralph out at the moment, Australians have struggled with playing leg spin. His form's been a bit iffy, but especially he's going to have 2 of his first, I think it's 6 games that he's got with those doubles at the MCG, might even be 3. Longer boundaries, potential to get those wickets caught on the boundary. Could bat as high as sort of 8, depending on who's available for the Stars. So there's potential that he could come in late and maybe knock a very quick 20 up. He's in there because otherwise it would have been Harris Ralph, but with him out, I can't do much about that. And I'm kind of avoiding Stoinis at the moment because I'm not really confident on his role. He could bat anywhere top 5, may bowl overs, but I want somebody who's going to actually contribute a little bit more than that, and then I'll have a look at Stoinis for the doubles for round 3 and round 5. And then you got Connolly, who, because of injuries at Perth, Agar going down and now Hamish McKenzie, they don't have a spinning option. And they did try him in the recent Marsh Cup one-day match as an opening batsman. So there's potential that he will open with Whiteman, another player that's been in and out on my side, who's the keeper for WA. But Connolly is the only spinner at 70k is a bit of a steal there, so that's why he's there. I've got young Tanavir Sanger, who's been with the Australian team over in the T20s, bowling over there. I think it's his time again, the wrist spinner, for his time to shine. So at 83k gives me that option for the 4 Thunder in round 4. And last is Dave Payne, who's joined over as an international player for the Strikers. Played 4 games, I think it was last season, averaged like 75. At 140, I think he's a steal. Was thinking about the only way I think I don't start him and put him on the pine, because I want him for round 2, is I start Matt Short and then I go a different player in that position. Because I've already got my 2 strikers, but then I just bring Payne in for round 2. So it's either one or the other, but at the moment I've led towards Payne being on the pine. So I've got him, and he's also got a break even of 44. So I think if he comes out, takes a couple of wickets, bowls well against the Heat, he potentially can, beat that. If we're talking about a guy who could put, an average sort of 75, or even if it's sort of 60, 70, he might be 150, 160k come round 2. And I kind of don't want to be trying to chase catch as much, where Matt Short at 244 playing one game, though he could absolutely dominate the Heat, there's potential that, he has a low score, drops in value. It's easier to, I don't see Short going up too much, which is like, oh my God, I'm going to have to pay 250 at him for the worst case. It's not like he's going to 270, 280. We're paying, because prices change after the first game. There's potential where he could, drop, go up. And it's going to be harder because the players I'm looking at from round 1 to 2 will be Colin Munro and Xavier Bartlett. So Bartlett is 6K cheaper than Payne. If I don't have Payne, let's just say Bartlett, even though he's got the 3 games with the break even of 128, if he was on to score sort of 100 and then Payne comes out and scores a 60, instead of just being 6,000, it might be 20K difference. And I don't really want to leave cash in the bank just in case of that. I want to maximize my scoring potential. So that's my team at the moment, and there's been some changes. I'm getting pretty settled on that. It's just more if there's injuries or other people were to become available, that might change that. Just lastly, in regards to, we've got ownership of some of these players. So if we look at I've even lost some of my ownership here, but Glenn Maxwell is the most popular player for obvious reasons. 60%. As I said earlier, it should be 100%. Next, you've got a lot of wicket keepers in the batting lineup. So Philippi, McDermott, Quinton de Kock, 50, 47, and 40%. The interesting one then is Nisa at 38%. Really needs to be taken out of people's sides. I know a few people might have made sides before hearing that news. I even seeing a few group chats today. People didn't realise Nisa's been picked for the PM's 11, so I'd take him out. Stoinis at 36%. Again, these batsmen who are all-rounders are quite popular, so I am kind of betting against him, but he does have that low break-even at 116k. Break-even of 75. It's not too bad and definitely attainable for the couple of games. But if he's not bowling or he only bowls 1 or 2 overs and doesn't get those bonuses and does come in at 5, which is potential, it's going to, I'm happy to back against somebody like him compared to a player who's going to be opening the batting. Fraser McGurk is at 25%. He has been absolutely killing the Shield and the one-day games. The problem is with the Renegades batting lineup, we've got de Kock, Clark, Marsh, Finch, potentially Madison back. So it's where he fits in, and if he even fits in. Now, I think they should put him at 3 because he deserves it, and I can't wait to see what he does for the Renegades there, but there is potential where he could be batting as low as 6 or even not even in the side. So I'm a little sceptical until I see that named. And then you've got the guys like Whiteman, the wicketkeeper we talked about at Perth, who's been in some cracking form in the one-day series here for the States. And then Tom Curran, the English international at 25%, 180Ks, very popular player. Probably going to bat between 7 and 9 and bowl his 4 overs. So I can see a lot of people sort of using him and maybe another player to look at trying to get to short, or even him be kind of as a premium option for the first few rounds, which I don't mind. But I get skeptical about having players at that price and just not having double games, which they don't after round 1. And for the bowlers there, there is a good spread when it comes to ownership. Swepson for the Heat is at 38%. Again, a lot of all-rounders, but then you could drop the Zampa at 28%, Spencer Johnson at 26%, and then Peter Siddle at 26%, 75k playing in the Shield match. Depending on what the Renegades do with their bowling lineup, he could be there, but he's a player that could be in and out of each game, depending on what the Renegades do. Somebody I'm not reaching because I think there's other players, cheap options there, but I can understand why others are putting them in. So that's kind of your most. There's a few kind of pods floating around, and for mine David Payne 1%, Mir 1% at the moment. So very lowly owned. I like Tom Rogers, 4%, the Renegades opening bowler. So he's one that I really want to get in for that round 3 match, but potentially drops value. Kane Richardson's in 8%. Watch that because he's done his glutes, so double check his availability coming into that first game. But that's sort of a bit of a snapshot of percentages. That's what my team's sitting at. Would love to hear how you guys are looking at the moment, and we can answer some questions. As I said, I'll be going through a team-by-team review. I've got all the teams ready to go, so tune into them. We'll do just sort of quick-fire pods and talking about best 11s for the round 1, and hopefully that will help you get closer to your starting sides. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll talk soon. Bye.